about Blooms by Precious?
So I love flowers so much. I mean, for me,
Because the flower industry is huge. It's just really underestimated.
It is very huge, but it's also very hard to find artists because it's an art.
Yeah.
So I'm not a florist at all.
Yeah.
So I love flowers because any celebration that I do
is not complete without them. Yeah.
Exactly. The flowers have to be, even it doesn't have to be too much. Even if it's small, like that understated elegance, but then you must see the flowers were thought through. It's not just putting floral arrangements together. You can see the difference between a florist that's really talented and artistic about it, and florists that just put flowers together. So Blooms by Precious is more, I love gifting. I mean, one of the things I used to do when I was in corporate was a lot of gifting for stakeholders. So I've always, when people ask me, I want to do like a bridesmaid's proposal, you're good at this, can you do it for me? So I used to do it without even having it as a cost or charging. And it's something I enjoy, it's a passion of mine. And I wanted to introduce something that's more gifting in the business, but then with something that I love, that's personal, that's going to be very thought through. So I'm going to partner up with some of my favorite florists in the country, and it's not a lot of them. And it's exposing people to flowers that the scent is like magnificent. You've never, or flowers that are exported from Holland, from Kenya, where it's so lush and bespoke. It's just special. So for me, flowers are a representation of anything happiness, and for me they're just
as well
memorable. And I mean, when anything blooms, and I think also it was just about when you're blooming and you're celebrating a moment in life, there's nothing better than
the
just
right accessory to the flowers. And what I find interesting about that also is that it also exposes people to different industries within the industry, right? So as much as the flowers are a very obvious part of one of your celebrations or weddings or events, it's often overlooked as a business as it is, and if I think of the top florists in the world, I probably can't even come up with a name, because do you know what I mean? Like I haven't taken the time and effort to be as personally invested in that. So it's kind of an industry that's very still niche, I think. Yeah. And only people within adjacent industries like wedding planning and all of that would know this is the number one person in the world. Yeah. This is the number one. So it's interesting in the sense that, because I think the audience that you've garnered, particularly Black people, they will also be open to this new industry of flower arranging and flower artistry that's been quite exclusive and kind of shut off away from them.
But also I'm so with florists that I work with, and one of the ones I work with a lot is more challenging, like making you think outside the box. So like for example, with the music video. So it's not just about what's on the table.
Absolutely.
It's an art. And I mean, I'll mention a name, like Mabel is really talented, and also there's more of a environmental element to it as well, because it's one of those things and those industries that are really not good for the environment because of the kind of accessories that are used to actually put a floral arrangement together. And being exposed to such things of how environmentally friendly you can be with your floral arrangements, with your floral design. I mean, that's a different element that overpasses anyone's head. But on an international level, it's really big. It's not big in South Africa yet, but it's that important. And, well-known designers or florists that work with the Oprahs of this world, if anyone pays attention to that, and even in different countries like Russia, you name it, it's an art and they respect it. So we're not there yet in South Africa, but
we have potential to be.
Exactly, and and it's knowing the mechanics of all of it. It's not just about, and that for me, I have to really try hard to explain to a client. It's not just about any rose. What roses are we getting? It's not just about a hydrangea. Where does it come from? It's how you treat the flowers. I mean, it's a totally different industry. It's not for everyone. And I see it when I do my masterclass, because everybody thinks it's that easy. Then I look at the next year, how many people actually, their businesses are still running. And because no one takes this industry serious, you'll never find, market research around it of how much it actually contributes to the economy.
Yeah.
It's a lot. South Africans go big on celebrations.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how much money is brought into this industry.
And they do go big. I mean, if I just look at your clientele alone, these are people who are CEOs, business owners and entrepreneurs, moguls. Your clientele are heavy hitters, And for me, and I think for a lot of people who look at your business, that for them already makes them take you rather seriously. And I think through that, you've really managed to enable people to look at this industry very differently. Because a wedding done by, with your stamp on it, with your ink or tattoo on it, makes them look good, right? As opposed to just a wedding done by anyone else. We live in that world now where, having my wedding done by, so and such a name. The wedding planner now is part of the name dropping element. Which kind of brings me to another question now, because you've just launched a magazine, so you've gone into publishing, and that's a huge imprint on the Precious Celebrations name. What inspired you to do that? Because if that's not an inspiration to name drop for your next client, I don't know what is.
So Nubian Bride came about, it's always been part of my plans, but probably more of a 5-year plan from 2019. I always knew it's something that would add to my legacy, something that would push me to the next level. And I got approached by the previous owners to say they don't actually think anybody else could take this brand to the level it needs to be in the country. They could go to existing, publishing houses that have bridal magazines. But they approached me first before they actually, put it out there for sale or, commercially. And I actually realized that sometimes opportunities come like that. And I just thought I wouldn't forgive myself if I actually don't think about this now and see, as much as it wasn't my plans now, if I really let go of this, I'm going to regret it. So it was a risk and quite a big responsibility on my part, but it also pushed me into that difference of a business owner, self-employed, to an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
Using the skills that I've acquired already. It's still within the wedding industry, but now I have to tell a story differently now because it's in Africa, in different countries, digitally. And I feel like I really want our industry to be taken serious. And now I've got the platform to do that.
Absolutely.
And, acquiring a business like that is not child's play.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to the challenge of how it's going to, what level of my business thinking and being an entrepreneur it's going to take me, but also just challenging me to, showcase the kind of weddings that we can actually put in this country that can be seen worldwide. Like from that, I've got clients that are in America and they want to get married in South Africa. I always wonder why.
Yeah.
And, listening to the stories and I never used to just pay attention to the reason why. Instead of getting married in the UK, why South Africa? And one of the reasons and the pushes for my magazine that's going to focus on, it's mostly that is, and probably later, 2 or 3 years time, I'll move into property, but into the wedding industry.
Absolutely.
So that I still use what I've acquired for so long, 10 years of that, I'm not going to just waste it and try something new, but I'll challenge myself into the same industry but differently. So it's a new baby that I'm really excited about, and I think it's a perfect complement to my brand already, and